Hi and welcome to Dad's Gaming DK. My name is Claus and in today's video we're gonna take a closer look at the content of the Kickstarter game Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor by Nemesis Games. But before we continue with the video, please like the video and hit that subscribe button, it is highly appreciated. The game was originally funded on Kickstarter on 10th of September 2020, but I had my first encounter with the game back in January 2020. I was working on a software project with a lot of international colleagues, and one of these colleagues, an American guy, was telling me that when he came to Copenhagen the next time for one of our workshops, he would meet up with his cousin, also American living in Germany, and he would come to show his newest game that he was working on. It had already at that time been, I think it was 2 or 3 years under development. So we met at the workshop, and on the second evening, I think it was, of this 1 week workshop, we met up with his cousin on a Danish board game cafe named Bastard Cafe. So I remember meeting this guy Cornelius for the first time. So he comes with a big backpack and a long cardboard tube. And in the cardboard tube, he has a mousepad with printed board for this very, very, very big game. And in the backpack, he has a big black box with a single image on the front, just saying Uprising, Curse of the Last Emperor. And there is a couple of different characters on it. And he starts to talk about this game, what is the basic, it is 4X game, etc., showing us the different game pieces and trying to describe the functionalities. So unfortunately, we end up not being able to play a full game because we definitely don't have the time. This is a game that takes up a lot of time just to play a single round. But I got to see this prototype, this game in progress, see all the different pieces and what they're working on. So at that time they're working at these Garrisons, I think they were called, which were small towers that you could stack in different levels so that you could visually see the level instead of having a tracker or some kind of overlaying cards that said, oh, now this garrison this level. We also got to look into the resource management and this very complex game where the players have to work together, and even though still competing for points against two game controlled opponents, the Empire and Chaos, that tries to get more points than the players. So the players win if they can, so if all players get more points than these two other factions. So the problem or the challenge is that players is actually tracked on this board between the Empire in the middle of the map and the Chaos along the edge of the map. But seeing this game and especially get an introduction with the developer was fantastic. The enthusiasm that Cornelius had about this game and what they tried to accomplish and how they tried to modernize the game was just awesome to experience. And I must admit, I am very, very curious on how much of the prototype that I saw actually ended up in the final product. So I have not cracked open the box yet. We're gonna do that in just a minute. But I have been looking forward to this game since I saw it the first time. Also, just a small disclaimer, even though I have a colleague where the game designs his cousin, and even though I tried out the game and saw it as an early prototype, we have not been paid to promote this game. We have not received a promotional version of the game neither. This is our own personal copy that we're gonna show you in this video. But let's get over to the table and crack open the box. So here we have the box for the core game, and it is, of course, as we already said, Uprising, Curse of the Last Empire by Nemesis Games. So let's start by taking a look at the actual box and the box art. So first of all, we have a full cover here, and it shows the different races as well as the Emperor in the background, and it has the name. And if we look at the sides, the only thing we have here is actually the name of the game. Then we have a blank with a logo, not complete blank, there's a small logo, I don't know if you can see it on the camera. Yes, you can here. Name again. And the logo. Again, this is a different logo that we have on the other side. If we go to the back, we have, again, full color cover art here. We have very little information, but what we can see is it is for age 14 plus. It has been published, designed and published by Nemesis Games, and it's made in China. So, not a lot to do here about how long it takes to play, etc, etc. So I looked this up, and it is for 1 to 4 players, if I remember correctly. It has an average playtime between 2 to 4 hours, and it is 14 plus game. But let's open the box and see what we actually have in it. This is a big box. Not only is it big by dimension, as you can probably see on the camera, but it's also quite heavy. So I'm very curious to what is inside. But let's get it open. So I think it's quite interesting. So as I said in the intro, I actually got to try out this game with one of the designers, Cornelius, a couple of years back. And back then he had taken a box from another game that was completely black and then printed this cover art and put on top of it. And the box have not really changed that much since that early prototype. I think that's quite interesting and a bit fun. But let's open up the box and see what we have inside of it. If we can get it open. There we go. So let's see. So I can see, you can't see that, but I will show you when the box is empty. But there's actually art on all the sides of the inner box as well. So first we have safety notice, warnings, contains small parts and choking hazards. That's fine. Then we have a lot of cardboard. So these seems to be tokens, tiles, bigger tokens. Maybe I can get it a bit higher so you can see. So here we have the Omido Prison, the Haunted Hollows. We have a lot of information on each tile. And they are actually double-sided. So the tokens are the same, but the tiles have... I would think that this is a resource mark, and then it shows unexplored. So we have one sheet of cardboard, and all the tiles are unique. You can see we have another sheet of cardboard here. Imperial Slave Mines, Netherwood. We have a third sheet. So a lot of unique tiles here. And all of them has the... Oh, but this one says Unexplored Sea Tower. Instead of just Unexplored. There was 3, 4... And these actually have full art back covers. I would think these are probably different races, their starting zones. Very, very nicely done. And the cardboard seems to be very high quality. Quite a good thickness. And a smooth finish on top of both sides. Actually, very nicely production. So that was 4 different sheets. Seems like that's all the cardboard we get. Then we have play area, the actual board. Again, very, very high quality, very nicely printed. I'm not sure I can get everything on the camera, but I will try. So here we have the main game board, and we can see that this is apparently where the tiles goes. So we have a big C here. We have different places to put the cards. We have a lot of overview on how to play the game and what it means. It's actually on both sides, so don't have, so you can, you know, normally you can only read it from one side of the board, but this has the exact same information. You can't see I'm pointing downwards, but these informations up here about terrain, and skeleton and garrisons are actually also in the bottom of the board. So no matter in which side of the board you're playing, you can actually read this. That's very nice indeed. I like that. And that is not double side, that's just black behind. So that was the main board. Then we have, let's see, we have another board here. Chaos Graveyard. And how does that... Oh, that's a single board, okay. So we have a single double board here. Chaos Graveyard, Imperial Graveyard, and get full art. The same finish as all the rest of the cardboard. Places to place the Horde and Legion decks. And that is also only on one side. So 2 boards and a third board here. Which is also, let me check, double-sided. So here we have what I think is the actual tracker board. I don't know if I can get everything in. I can't, but we can take it. So it has places for 4 chapters. It has market, discard, market deck. It has items. It has quest, the quest deck. And then over here, it seems like it has a complete overview of all the different phases for each turn. Yeah, so you have your refresh phase, your event phase, build phase, action phase, nemesis phase, production phase, scoring phase, with all the different ways to score points. Score points down here. Let me just see if I can get it a bit higher. So you actually don't need to, so instead of having a cheat sheet or some quick overview, it actually printed on one of the game boards. Again, very nice detail. I like that. We have some cheat sheet, quick overview here of the combat sequence. Seems pretty advanced. Again, I said seems because I already tried the prototype, but it is very, it feels very advanced when you see it this way, but it's pretty okay when you get to it, because you have all the information on the actual cards you use for combat. You have placing and activation of the 2 AIs in the game, the Empire and Chaos. And we have 2 of these quick sheets. Then we have, that's not usual. So we actually have a rulebook, but this is binded in a spiral binder instead of being glued together or stripped together. Again, nice little detail and very nice finish. Everything has this very smooth gloss finish that really makes the colors pop. So here we have a full color rulebook with how to set everything up, how to move, how to adjust difficulty, how combat works, description of the different phases, every one of them with examples on how to do it. I really like this, that you have actual examples with all the game pieces. So we have 58 pages and the index. So no small rulebook, but seems to be very well done indeed. Then we have some more cardboard actually down here. So we have some tokens. I would think that these are the different enemies that you can run into when you play the game. We have some tokens here. We have another tile. Yeah, so a tile is the same as the rest. These have different marks. These are the same. Then we have these. Remember, these are the player boards. So each player, when they choose a faction, get one of these player boards that tell them what unit they can buy, what it costs to build defenses, and what resources they generate based on how many settlements they've built. And this is a list of the different actions you can take on your turn. And oh, on the back side you have a description. So I remember seeing this from the prototype. This is new, but very well done. And again, super nice finish on both sides. And we have one for each of the different races. So this was the Rune, Nebulous Wanderers. Here we have the Rogar, Unbending Highlanders. You can see it's the same information, but everything is different cost, and that is because one of the goals of the design, as I remember Cornelia was talking about, was to make each faction feel special without making one of them unbalanced towards the rest. and they seem very different in choice of units and the different costs to build and stuff like that. And then we have the Grove, Forgotten Guardians, and last we have the Moya, the Fallen Invaders. Yeah. And then we get down, okay, so we actually have, it seems like we have individual containers for everything. So let's see how this works. Is this one big or these several small? These are actually several small. So seems like these are the 4 factions that we just looked at. So you have a top cover with places to place your cards down here. Nice. Then you have the what's called the feet, the bases that you slot your different units into, and then we have all the units. And these are, it's hard to say, but these are actual hard plastic, all of it, instead of cardboard. So you have hard plastic with double-sided printed directly into it. Again, very nice quality. And looks really, really good. So these are one of the heroes. I think we have the other hero down here, probably. Yeah, we have the other hero here. And they slot into these bases when you need to use them. And then we have all the different units here and the cost to build them. Very nice indeed. Oh, it also says here, if you forgot what is what, faction components. So we have one here, and then we have for the other 3, and all of them comes in their own unique color. So it's easy to identify on the board. And this is not like a lot of the other games we're seeing at the moment, where it comes with a lot of gray plastic miniatures or pre-single colored miniatures. These are all these standees here, but full printed color in plastic. I like that. I really like that this is not only another game where I need to do a lot of printing. It actually says here, I didn't sort out on the other one, but it has here faction components and feed cards. So it has an insert down here for all the different feed cards. So we have everything regarding this faction in one box. So when you want to play, you just pick up the boxes you need. When you're ready to go, you can have them on the side of the table while you play. So the third faction here, in this kind of burnt yellow, goes for the same as the rest. And we have the last one here, in a vibrant red. That is the Grove I can see. We have Carl here. So this is very, very well thought about, having these inserts for all the different components. And if we look, we can see that this actually continues. This have been one of my big concerns with a lot of games that have come out over the last couple of years. It is that it's hard to get everything back in the box in a good way, and you need to go out and buy plastic bags and stuff like that, and everything is just one big mess down there. We have seen a few games that come with inserts where everything is just put nicely together. One of the first ones I saw was the D6 Kickstarter campaign, where there was an insert for every single piece of the game, and it seems like this is the same for Uprising. I really like it. I know it might be a small thing for a lot of people, but for me this is one of the most important things, that everything can be put back in the box in a nice way, so that it's easy to just play the next time you need it. You don't need to have a lot of time to set up and sort out the different pieces that you need. So we have some inserts down here, and all of them says what it is. So this is resource box, and it shows the 3 different kinds of resources where they need to go, and you have these small curved inserts here, which makes it easy to actually get down and get them up. So if you have straight corners, it's hard if something gets stuck in the corner. These are all rounded. Very, very nice. I also like that it says where everything should go. So you can just take this box of resources, put it on the table, and everybody can reach the resources. And you actually not have one, but you have 2 of these exact the same. So you have one for each side of the board, just like we saw with the game board, where the text was in both sides. A very, very well done game components and inserts. So down here we already have something. These are, yeah, so these are the settlements. They were looking a bit different, if I remember correctly, when I tried the prototype, but I kind of see it too. These are the different settlements for each of the 4 factions. So it's just like a small town, and we have them in each of the different colors. And the reason they have this ring around them is because somewhere down here we have walls and towers, and you can actually put them on top of this piece to create a reinforced town. So I will show that when I found the other pieces, but here we have all the settlements for all the factions, which probably goes into the faction box as well, I would think, when everything gets sorted out. So then we have a couple of big boxes down here, so let's see what we have. So we have a big chunky insert here with some places on top, so it says dice, so all the dice go in here. When we find them, they're here. And let's just take a look at the dice then. So here we have the bag of dice. We can see we have different types of dice, which also corresponds to what the different units and heroes and cards do. So we have the yellow, which contains primarily blanks and skulls. We have the red, containing skulls, blanks, and lightning bolts. We have the purple, which contains skulls, a single blank, and lightning bolts. We have the blue, which contains shields, blanks, and skulls. Then we have the big damage die, if I remember correctly, which is black, which is multiple skulls, lightning, no blanks. And then we have the white, which is a lot of blanks, shields, and skulls. Then we have these small gem-like here, which, if I remember correctly, are your activation points. So when you play, you have a certain number, I think it's 8. Each player have 8 of these activation points. And if we take one of the player boards, if I can get one without destroying everything, then every time you take an action, you can see here how much it costs. You would take one of these and place on that action so that you can see when the turn ends what you have already done and what you did that turn, so it's easier to backtrack if you need to base some trigger effects and stuff like that. So that's what this is. Then we have the different faction markers that is used in the outside of the board to keep track of how many points. So we have one for the 2 different AI factions, Chaos and the Empire. We have them here. And then we have one for each of the 4 player factions in the same colors as all the other game pieces. And these are wood, not plastic. Where the settlement seems to be resin. It feels a lot like resin, not plastic. Then we have a lot of cards. And a lot more cards. So I think we will wait with the cards, but we can see here that here in the insert it actually shows what we have. So small cards, large cards, and all the hexes, which means all the cardboard hexes that we had on the top, which was also the reason why the box was gaping a bit, goes in here when they have all been pressed out of the cardboard. So it seems like there is a place for everything. So let's take the last insert before we go to look at the cards. So the last inserts have a lot of different plastic. Or resin, I don't know before I have seen it. So yeah, let me start because I remember these. When I tried the prototype, Cornelius and the rest of the team was experimenting with these towers. They had found this model of a tower that was stackable, and they had printed some test ones. And the very nice thing about these towers, like the settlements, are upgradable, which means that you can upgrade them. And what you can do is actually you can take the different pieces and stack them directly on the board. So this is the base, And this seems to be the middle part. So you have this small middle part, and it slots perfectly onto here, so you get a level 2 tower. I think they're called Garrisons, if I remember correctly. And all of this seems to be resin as well. And then you have the top here, which actually, a very nice little detail, have a gold color on the top. You can see there's the small gold detail between the purple. And this one then goes on top of the second level, so you can get a third level tower this way. So it's very visual on the table. You don't need to track different numbers or cards and stuff like that. You can just see exactly what level the tower is. I really like this idea. This was under development when I tried prototype, and I'm very happy to see it made it into the final game. I think it works very, very fantastic compared to trying to look up everything every single time. So we have all these different components, 3 level up towers. Then we have all the standees for the Empire. So we have Mage's Breaker. Again, it's the same hard, high gloss plastic with full double-sided high color resolutions printed directly into the plastic. It looks really, really good. And they slot into these accompanying bases we have here in the same color. Then we have, like I said before, we have the walls. So these wooden colored rings are actually walls to settlements. And these are the towers. And it goes for the same, as far as I understand, as it did with the Garrisons. So if I take one of the settlement pieces, let's take this red one, and I take a wall, it should actually fit perfectly around, so you can see directly on the game board that now this settlement has a wall with all the bonuses that you get from that. And on top of that, if we take one of the small towers as well, also wooden colored, it fits in the middle. So now we have a fully upgraded settlement that sits on the game board, so you visually can see how well defended the piece is. Then we have all the standees for chaos. So we have skeletons, which is the main unit of chaos. And then we have these very, very frustrating kind of enemies. These are called curses. And every time, if I remember correctly from the prototype, a unit from chaos leaves a hex, they leave behind one of these curses, which actually removes all the different effects that that tile would otherwise give. And it also prevents you from doing a lot of stuff in combat. Very, very frustrating. And of course we have a lot of bases to these as well. Oh, I forgot a skeleton. And then we have all the hordes, which are kind of the unique characters for chaos. So we can take an example here. We have Oda the Fallen. Okay, so there's a bit of flesh down here that just can be removed with a finger. We have Oda the Fallen here in the same high quality plastic as all the other game pieces. Let's see, do we have another one? We have the Coven of Isat. Very nice. And last of the game pieces, we have the... Oh, I remember these. These are clips. Oh, very nice indeed also. So, we have these black clips with a... I don't know if you can see it. There you can. With a tentacle, just like the curses, showing. And these clips actually goes on the cards to track the strength of specific cards. I will show you in a minute. So last here is the insert. We can see down here, if you can read it, that we have printed what goes where. So here we have walls and towers, curses, skeletons and hordes, and garrisons and legions. So all the chaos stuff here, all the emperor stuff here, and all the additional game pieces go up here. And then on the top, other than walls and towers, the same text. We actually also have threat trackers and activation token targets. So all of this can be put down nice and snuck in the box again. So let's take a look at the cards. So if we start with the big pack here. So it's actually quite interesting where everything else is very smooth gloss. All of these have like a matte finish. Just like if you touch cardboard that you get packages in when you order something online. Which makes them very, very easy to handle. They're not going between your fingers at all. I'm wondering how that's gonna be with tear and wear those, but a strange feeling. So here we have some overview cards showing you the different faces on each of the dice and what you can use the different symbols to, as well as an overview of the most overlooked rules. We have probably 4 of those, 1 for each player. Yes, we do. Then we have event cards for each chapter. Example here. So if I just go through. So all of these are event cards, and we can see we have different events for each chapter. So chapter 4, chapter 3. Oh, they also have unique full color pictures actually. Chapter 2 and chapter 1. I would think that they increase in difficulty as we go through the chapters. Then we have the hero cards. One of the 2 unique heroes for each faction on each side with their different stats down here and a small description. And then we come to the Nemesis, or the actual enemies of the game. So here we have the Lich Queen, and we can see that this is a Chaos Horde card. And here we have the Coven of Uset, which we just saw before. And let me just show you what the clips are for. So based on how far you are in the game, if I remember correctly from the prototype, this card will come out with different strains, which is called threat. So based on how much threat this card has, you just put on the clips like this, and it will show you which dice to use. And as this enemy takes damage, you will take the clip and put it down to the new level, thereby seeing what you need to use for the rest of the game. Until you get to the last level and give another damage, then the card is dead. Again, very nice detail. Instead of having a lot of tokens going on, or having to put a lot of cards on, or damage tokens on and calculate every time, you can exactly see every single time due to the clip what you need to do. So here we have all the care stuff, and then comes the Empire, which is the same thing. We have a threat level with the different dice. And then we come to a new card type. So these are quests. Yeah, so all of these are quests. So an example of a quest here is a deal with demons. We have a lot of information that I don't know what it is yet. But I'm gonna look into the rules very soon, find out what it is, and then we're gonna make a follow-up video on how to play. So don't worry. But here is another example. Break the shackles. So that was all the big cards. So let's try and continue to see what we have in the small pack of cards. They actually open quite easy. I have had a lot of problems with opening card packs from other game producers, especially Seaman. They seem to be sealed like they should never be opened again. So we have a lot of small cards here. I will take them bit by bit. So these seems to be the feed cards, the small cards that we saw before. So here we have the hero name, his icon, and we have a couple of unique feats for him. So here, actions: when you place a heaven, you may build units and defense here, or flip this to place 1 basic unit on a haven, or discard this to place 1 unit on a haven. Okay, so that seems to be feed cards. We have So it seems like we have 3 for every single hero here. We have some Druid cards, we're gonna wait with them. Oh, we have a lot more. So we've found 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 feed cards for Barons of the Wall. We found 3 for Dugba. Let's see what else we have here. So we have another 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for Feanor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, yeah, and 3. Okay, so every single hero has 10 unique feed cards that they can probably gain through experience. Just gonna flip the stack so we can see here. So we have 10 for Yana, Yani, Sundra, Ronja, Karl, and then we have some item cards. We're gonna move on. Just take them in a minute. And then we have Hanzo. So all of these are hero feats. A lot of cards, but we already saw that there is room in the different faction boxes to put them. So over here there's actually a slot underneath to all the feed cards, so have everything in one. And I would think settlements goes into here as well. So the last two type of cards we have is the Druid cards, which seems to be special effects that you can do by spending lightnings that you get on the dice. So this says place one of your units from any graveyard in any unexplored hex. Any explored hex without enemy units after damage once per combat. And then we have the item deck. So we have an example here. A bad war paint. This seems to be the cost in resource. So Clash. Discard this to gain 1 red die before rolling on your hero's hex. I have a couple of them. Assassin's Dagger. I don't know what this is. Discard this to place it on a Horde or Legion card when an activation token is removed from here. Reduces threat by 1. So, different items that you can buy as well. And compared to a lot of other boxes where we have cardboard in the bottom, this box is now empty. But we have also had a lot of stuff. So you can't see all of it right now, but if I take, and let me see if I can put it out. So we have all the different inserts. We have all the cardboard over here, and then we have the big insert with all the enemies. So a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of stuff. A lot of content in a very, I said small, in a rather large box, but I'm interested if there's actually a guide to how everything goes into these inserts. Might be. Let me just check the rulebook quite fast. You can also follow here. You can see some of the pictures. So from time to time we have, so yeah, it's 58 pages, but there's a lot of these full color, full page art pictures in here, which takes up a whole page. A combat example here, we see how to stack the towers, as we already saw. The same with the defenses of town. So it actually doesn't seem like there's any information on how to put it into the box, but we can probably figure it out when everything gets placed. And you can see here the team behind: Cornelius, Paul, and Dirk. And this is the Cornelius that I played the game with. So that was all the content of the core box for Uprising: Curse of the Last Empire by Nemesis game. We also have the expansion, which is called the Arc Nemesis expansion. We're gonna unbox that in another video. And then we have an additional card pack and some extra dice. I don't know if we are gonna make a whole video about that or just take it together with the expansion. That was all the content of the core game Uprising: Curse of the Last Emperor. And I must admit, I am very, very happy to see how many of the components actually made it into the game, especially the small garrisons, and how detailed and very well designed and produced this game is. All the small details, like having the text readable from both sides of the board, having this cheat sheet with all the rules and all the different steps in a turn printed on the board as well, and you have places to keep all your stuff, and especially these inserts that keeps everything organized and you can actually hand out and have by your side while you play the game is a very nice touch. So if you have any comments, please write them in the comment section below, or write them to us directly on our Discord, where you can also join our community and a general conversation. I will put a link in the video description below. That was all for this video. Thanks for watching.